Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with CEO, entrepreneur, and Trailblazing Force in Clean Beauty, JoAnn Fowler. As the founder of the heritage brand, SAPPHO New Paradigm, and an Emmy-nominated makeup artist, she has dedicated herself to pioneering revolutionary approaches to clean beauty, challenging conventional boundaries, and advocating for a paradigm shift that embraces transparency. Her journey began with the deep-seated passion for eradicating the toxic load of cosmetics and creating alternatives that harmonize with modern science. At the age of 50, she started her first clean beauty company in 2008. We get into the full story here. Enjoy.
Well, it's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today.
Oh, you're welcome. This is really an exciting little venture for me.
Good. Well, I really enjoy your work and what you're doing. It's fascinating. There's just so many things that people do on a daily basis that we aren't aware of, and what you're doing is definitely one of those very important missions that I think should come to light. So thank you, and I want to begin with, where are you coming out of?
I live in Vancouver, Canada, and have for the last 30 years, I guess, yeah.
It's beautiful up there, yeah. Well, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm in the middle of the country, so it's great to meet you.
Yeah, it's really good. I've never been to Kansas, but yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. It's kind of a surprising little place in the middle of the world. So let's begin our conversation before we get into your work by asking you, 4 years ago or so, we were trying to figure this pandemic out, how long it's going to last, how are we going to get out of it. How did you get through that time period, and how did it influence or change the way that you live your life now?
Well, I mean, the bottom fell out for my business because we were in stores. So we lost probably, we were just down. When the stores shut down. We pivoted online, but we were very small. So, basically it was like, really the biggest thing for me because of my age was, living with the fear of, everything going tomorrow and not being there at all. And, just learning how to pivot and get loans and pared down. I don't know, it was a lot of like learning how to just stay in the moment and say, I'm okay right now, I'm good right now. Everything's good. I'm healthy. And just get through the moments of like, looking into a future that was so uncertain. So, and it's still not exactly completely gone. That's for sure. Although, of late, with our emphasis on PFAS and PFAS and sort of the newest family of toxins that we've discovered has really helped the business because we're really focused in on something that no one else has really started talking about yet. So COVID was it was hard. It was you didn't know what was going to happen, and for a business owner that was like in stores, it was brutal. And it was brutal coming out of it, too, because during COVID, what happened in clean beauty was that the huge conglomerates and large, groups of, I'm going to say men because they were men, got together and really invested very heavily into a couple of brands. One brand was bought by a big major makeup brand. And so when we came out of COVID, all of a sudden they were in the other big chains. They took out huge amounts of advertising, and we lost probably about 75% of our stock list, our stock people. Mostly female companies, small family-run companies that had built clean beauty, the ones that had, actually started the whole thing, and they were wiped out because, who can compete with that kind of online advertising and stuff like that. So it's been a really interesting shift. I'm kind of worried. I'm worried for the younger generations. Tell you the truth, more than me. Seeing all the wealth go into a very small number of hands, and people still are buying from these huge companies that, we need to make a shift or we're in a lot of trouble. That's my spiel for the morning.
Yeah. No, I understand. I totally understand. So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis. I'm going to put you in front of a grade as a career day, and one of the kids is curious and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
Well, I run a small, clean makeup line out of Canada. I do everything. I do social media. I create products. I work with labs. I research. I work with schools. I work with designers. Every day is different. So every day is like you just sort of get up, and I have certain meetings that I have to attend to, and but the rest of it is just let's see what happens today, and let's just go with it, and what comes up, and you just roll,
So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
I'm sorry?
What did you want to be when you were in the third grade? What was your dream to grow up and become?
Oh, in third grade, oh gosh. I don't think I wanted, when I was that young, I think maybe I wanted to be a nun. Yeah, I think I was still in that stage. When I was really young, I wanted to be a nun.
Wow. Well, so how did this happen? Take me back to your childhood, and how did you become an entrepreneur with this focus in your life?
Well, that wasn't, that focus of wanting to be a nun went very quickly. I became an entrepreneur by fluke. I was a makeup artist, Emmy-nominated makeup artist. I was working in a makeup trailer in 2006 or 7, and one of the actresses that I was working with, Mia Kirshner, sat in my chair, and she said, "I'm not going to wear parabens in any of my makeup anymore." And I said, "Oh, okay, well, I don't know what you're talking about." So I called a friend of mine, Norma Patton-Lowen, who's Hallie's makeup artist, and said, "Have you heard anything about these things?" And she said, "I have this book that's called Not Just a Pretty Face." And I read it, and it changed my life. And I realized at that point that I needed to create a makeup line that I could use in my work as a makeup artist so that I wouldn't have to take responsibility for anyone else getting cancer. So I created this little line, and, it took off. I didn't have a business plan. I mean, I thought it would be, I was 50 years old. I thought it would be a nice little thing to have when I retired, online. I became an entrepreneur by fluke. It took off. It started going in stores. It did very, very well. And I started learning like a whole new language and a whole new life and a whole new everything. And it all was great until about 2015. I was taking an investment by a guy named Brian Kersner. And when push came to shove, there was a disagreement over ethics, and I exited, but I had to sue him because he stole my URLs and he stole a bunch of product. And it took 2.5 years in small claims court, and I won. He had 4 lawyers to start. I had none. And, I lost everything. I had to sell my home because for 2 years I didn't have any online presence. I had to rebuild my website by myself and do all that. And, so business has been a pretty interesting trip for me. When I finally disentangled myself and won the court case, I started another new company, and that's the company I have today. So
who's been a hero? That's an amazing story. Who's been your hero? Who's been an inspiration for you to do all of this?
There's a man named Raghuram Gopal, and he is quite a famous actually entrepreneur in BC, and I met him early on in my journey, and he's been the person that I've sort of looked to as being someone that has been a mentor, has really helped me out in different situations, who I very admire and who gives me belief that there are, decent people in the business world. So, he's been really instrumental. I have the people I've met along the road that have walked with me. There's just so many that have, everyone just sort of adds something to something. I've had, I worked in film for so many years. So many of my friends have helped me out with my photo shoots and my, and just things that I need to do to make it look like we're, a really great company and the company that we are, right? So I just had like a lot of people, I guess, helping me. And, I've gone to the Women's Enterprise Center. Melanie Roop is another person that has helped me along the road. They haven't been able to help me financially, but she's been really helpful as a mentor. Yeah, other than that, it's just, part of it too is you just do it because you believe in it. I mean, this is my apology to the next generation. My mom died of cancer, my sister is dying of leukemia, my brother had cancer, my father had cancer. When I found out what it was and how we were being lied to, I'm a child of this, I was born in the 50s. I grew up during, the 70s and tin soldiers and Nixon coming. Like I have a very strong sense of justice, and that's what keeps me going. To know that we're being lied to, that we're putting things into our body and onto our body and being told that they're safe when they're not, and they know they're not, is absolutely despicable to me. And I've had lost too many people to cancer to brush that off as being, not something that's worthwhile pursuing. So, and now with the knowledge of PFAS, forever chemicals, and the knowledge that they're in 50% of Americans' blood and 50% of our water, please watch the movie Dark Waters, everyone. We really need to do as much as we can to mitigate them from our planet. These chemicals were created in 1941 to win the World War. The tanks were getting, stuck in the mud in France, basically, and they have these carbon chains that they fused with organic fluorine, and it becomes the strongest bond in the world. It's a waterproof bond. So they put it in everything. Well, they've known for a long, long time that, Teflon was actually the most famous one, of course. But there are 250 that are studied, and they're all dangerous to some extent. I have a 600-page report from the Canadian government, Health Canada. But the truth is that there are 15,000 of them. And I don't think we should wait around until they figure out how to identify all 15,000 and study them all before we ban them. And neither does most endocrine doctors and societies. And, because they're very powerful endocrine disruptors. So they cause cancers, they cause sexual deformities in baby boys, micropenises. They cause diabetes, obesity, liver cancer, kidney cancer, lung cancer, and childhood leukemia. For starters, they're really very, very powerful toxins. And they stay in the body for up to 10 years, and they stay in our world, in the land for up to 10 years. So, the other thing that I found out in my search, and I'm a student of the world. So I do a lot of studying. Is that plastics love PFAS, and so we are even getting the plastics that we put into our mascara. The tubes are tested for organic fluorine to 10 parts per million, which is the smallest you can test for. So we're testing everything for organic fluorine, because if you test things for organic fluorine, you can test for the 15,000 that are there. You don't know which they are because some of them are not studied yet, but you know the level of organic fluorine in a product. So this is all very new science. Although there's a lot of companies out there that know about it, but we're one of the only companies that's really talking about it, and we are also developing any new products to be as low in organic fluorine as possible, knowing that there has to be a range because they're ubiquitous. So you could get, a barrel of organic coconut oil one week, and it would test for non-detect. And the next week, it could test for 23 parts per million. And the reason for that could be somebody cleaning a piece of machinery in the manufacturing plant that they don't usually use. It's so random. So, we still haven't decided on what the top of the range will be for us, because we've been very fortunate to have products that so far are testing very safe. And when I say there's, and people will say PFAS free, well, there's no such thing, because we don't have even the technology to test products or packaging to less than 10 parts per million at this particular juncture. So it's progress, not perfection. And so that's what keeps me going. I mean, it's purpose, right? All the other stuff doesn't really matter. It's about purpose in life. If you don't have purpose in life, then, why get up in the morning?
Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah. No, that's great. I'm glad you gave me a great overview. So of all of these things that you've done so far, what are you the proudest of?
The persevering with SAPPHO, with the company, and also the creation of my, the offering of our vegan water-based mascara. Sounds really crazy, but it's refillable, reusable. It's been tested for PFAS inside and out. The wand itself we had to make 4 of them to find plastic that tested non-detect. And the formula, if you are not somebody that cries a lot, is amazing. And for me, I was allergic to most mascaras my whole life. So even as a makeup artist, I couldn't wear it. So this I can, and I really love it, and it fits for me, and I'm quite proud of it, and I'm proud of the fact that, we have won awards for innovation and for the Clean Beauty Award for our mascara, because it's a great product, and it speaks to a new way of doing things. It's refillable and reusable. It's not the 100%, let's say, answer to complete sustainability, but we'll get there. Yeah.
Very cool. So let me ask you this. At the end of the day, everyone out there, throughout all of the phases of your career, have always had a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, everyone, that you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
An independent, strong, smart person that has a pretty good sense of humor, but has also a lot of wounds. So just growing up was tough. So that's how I kind of see it. it's how I see myself, I guess.
Yeah. So if anyone out there wants to indulge in your products, reach out, learn more, where's the best place to go?
Best place is my SAPPHO, MySappho. She was a poet in 630 BC. So mysappho.com is the best place. And if you have questions, if they have questions, I'm always ready to answer anything that comes my way. So the website comes to myself and my small team, and we will answer anything that comes our way.
Perfect. JoAnn, thank you so much for your time. I'm glad we got the call to go through. Everything's good. So thank you. Keep doing the wonderful work. I appreciate your time today.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, music, and more from around the globe. Our esteemed theme music was composed and produced by the great E.E. Pointer of Kansas City's River Cow Orchestra. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.